What's up, everybody? It's Barbara Reese from the Bronx, and I'm exfoliating my skin because you gotta exfoliate, guys. I keep telling you, I'm 40 years old, and all those years in the street, by the grace of God, didn't take a toll on me, and most of the reason is because I've been catching up for the past 8 years. For 15 years, I was homeless on the street, and I exfoliate my skin. I had the same brush. I've been exfoliating with the same brush for about 5 to 6 years. The same very brush. And you're probably wondering what kind of brush this is. And this is a denture toothbrush. Yes, I have fake teeth, and I don't care. I lost all my teeth when I was homeless in the street. And one day maybe I'll pop them out for you, but they look pretty good, right? Not bad for, for being fake. I used to have perfect teeth, and, using drugs all those years, the calcium got depleted, and, I wasn't eating right, I wasn't taking care of myself, and that's what happens when you use drugs. A lot of people, when you use drugs as long as I did, you'll lose your teeth. So, that's one telltale sign that somebody has been using for a long time. Their teeth start to rot, and some people are very fortunate. They don't, that doesn't happen for them. But I was a grinder. I didn't pick my face, but I grinded my teeth, and all that. So that's what happened with me. And, I'm so tired, guys. I'm exhausted. I've been running around all day with my baby, and I love taking care of him because, babies can be a handful sometimes. Let me wash this soap off. And then I do it one more time. Now, I also eat very healthy. You see this? This is a mixture. This is a mixture of olive oil, vitamin E, okay, and coconut oil. And you put that on your skin. Don't use chemicals on your skin. Don't use those chemical, those chemical creams. That shit is all a bunch of BS. Let me tell you something. You put natural vitamin E and olive oil on your skin, you are good to go. You will not age. That's why I didn't get a good night's sleep. You can see a big difference in me when I don't get a good night's sleep. Excuse me. And I'm always moving around, so my body gets tired. And here it is. I'm on 170 milligrams of methanol, and I'm yawning. I don't use nothing else. That doesn't make sense. I should not be yawning. But I am. Oh, you see that shit? I'm yawning off the charts, guys. That doesn't make sense, man. I'm telling you. And I have my take-home bottle right there. I'll show it to you. It's right here. Here's the proof that I am clean. Today's Wednesday, and see, that's me, 170 milligrams. Now, I drank half in the morning, then half in the afternoon, because sometimes it does get me a little sleepy, and I don't like that, and I'm trying to taper off myself. And it is not easy, and I've been on the program for 8 years, so, I've heard a couple of other YouTubers that I look up to, that I've been watching recently. Real Talk, her channel's great. Real Talk Recovery, kudos to you, and I appreciate, the encouragement and, the subscription. And whoever subscribed to my channel lately, I really appreciate it, because I really want to help people, and I feel if I just had the chance, guys, to get more subscribers. You know, this would mean a lot to me. I really want to help people. You know, I have the story, I have the advice, I have the strength, you know, and I really would love to have a live stream. You know, I have 98 videos, and you know, I appreciate the 22 subscribers I have, but I don't understand why I don't get more subscribers. I don't understand it. I mean, initially my YouTube channel was, I'd started around Halloween time, and I started to do Halloween rants because I love Halloween. The baby I got pregnant on the street, he was born on Halloween. And I just love Halloween, you know. I mean, come on, guys. Look at my place. You know, I still got Halloween decorations up. That's how much I love Halloween. You know, I love Halloween. And, you know, I have to say, guys, I feel like the outcasts of outcasts. And why do I say that? I say that because I reach out to people, okay, people that do documentaries, you know, like what Chris Arnay did with me, and I reach out to them, and, you know, I'll get a couple of, you know, thumbs up and stuff, but I feel like I'm being shunned by, you know, by my own community of people in recovery or people that are addicts. And you know what that's like? To be shunned, not only by people that don't use and look at you like a piece of shit, but shunned by people that are in the same boat or was in the same boat as you. I'm not saying they all do it, because about 5 or 6 new people subscribed to my channel where I was stuck at 17 for like months almost. And you know, I was getting really depressed because all I want to do is help people. I want to talk to people about, you know, my experiences. If you go in my archives, you will see that, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff. I've been slashed. I've been raped, you know, prior to what happened when I was a kid, guys. When I was out there on the street. Now, mind you, now I want people to understand something, okay? I'm going to tell you how I wound up in Hunts Point. My family is from the Bronx. My family's from Little Italy in the Bronx, okay? My mother moved out to Long Island when she was a teenager, and my father too, when he was a little younger than that. And they were raised, you know, in the city and Long Island. And then my parents moved back out to the city when they got together. In the 60s and 70s, and then when my mother was pregnant with me, okay, they moved out to Long Island, you know, to start the white picket fence, you know, the suburbs, the baby boomers moving out to the suburbs, that whole thing. And, you know, I was the only kid born on Long Island. I was born in Smithtown. I'm not from Smithtown. Smithtown has a lot of money. I'm not from there, but I was born in Smithtown General Hospital. Okay. Now, after I had lost my children, I tried to get them back, as I explained to you guys before. Tried to get them back for 2 years. I went to all the programs, domestic violence, parenting. I did everything they asked, and they would not give me back my kids. I was 21 years old. I was not hooked up on drugs yet. I did smoke weed sometimes, but I wasn't doing it at that time. I'm just saying that's the only thing I've ever done while I had my children. I'm not saying that's right, but it wasn't a problem. I wasn't doing it all the time. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying it was something I did, that I got hooked on weed from my stepfather. And then when I got pregnant with my son, who's 22, going to be 22 in March, I didn't even smoke a cigarette. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't do nothing when I was pregnant with him. And with my daughter, I think before I found out I was pregnant, I did smoke weed a couple of times, and then when I found out, I stopped, and I didn't do nothing either. And when I lost them, and I couldn't get them back, first I started panhandling in the parking lots. I'd go up to people and say, look, I need $1 for gas, Now at this time, I already had lost my mind. I couldn't get my kids back, and that's it. I would get down on the ground and cry and beg and plead, God, why? And when I would have the visitations at first, my son would cry and scream, Mommy, 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 as they were driving away. And my heart was ripped out. I can't even come to terms with what that was like, knowing you have done nothing to your children, and all I wanted to do was protect my kids from what I went through, from being sexually abused in front of my whole family, from being subjectified by my stepfather and raped by him, even though it was statutory rape. He had me submissive and brainwashed from the age of 12 years old till 16, thinking he was in love with me. And I explained this before, and it was sick, and I was pushed on him, and I was promiscuous, but, I was not of age to come to terms of what I should have been doing at that age, giving consent to my body when I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I just wanted to feel loved. And before that, my stepmother, my father was very hard on me, but he was the only one, like I said, that did anything. Now, when that used to happen, when I had the visitations, and my kids were driving away in the van, as they were driving away, I would get down on the grass and start crying. I am so numb, when I think about it, inside of me is burning, the tears are there, but it can't come to terms. I have to block it out. I can't feel that pain. I cannot, because if I come to terms with feeling that pain, I will open up so many doors and wounds in my head that I might get a heart attack or something. That's how traumatized it was for me. That was, more than anything else in my life, losing my kids was the worst thing that, hands down, that ever happened to me. Nothing compares. Nothing. And my son, before he was taken, would have to jump on his father's back, and I was pregnant with my daughter, who was born on September 12th, 2001. Okay, and when I was pregnant with her, he would suffocate me, the father, suffocate me. When I was pregnant with her, he would grab me and dig my face into a big toy bin of Sharp Toys. And my son would jump on his back, Daddy, get off, and all that. And that's why my kids were taken, because of that. And I understand, but I didn't do anything to them. And when they casted him out of the home, he was sneaking over, and they caught him there, okay? And when they caught him there, I got in trouble for it. When I didn't even let him in, he came in through the fucking window. And my sister-in-law got involved and used that as a ploy against me. Like I said, had my kids for 2 days and didn't want them no more. But I'm saying to you guys, that is what led me to my drug abuse, okay? And my family, my brother Jimmy, okay, because I've been saying it for the past couple of days, and some other family members are asking me, well, who is this? Who are you talking to? Who are you saying don't believe you? My brother Jimmy, okay, who is a very rich man, who basically was like a father to me when I was little, okay? He didn't know I was being molested, but I have very fond memories of him. And his wife did that to me, and he wants nothing to do with me. But yet he wants something to do with my molester and with the pedophile, and blocks me on social media and is embarrassed of me. because I was a drug addict, because of my pain and suffering, and because I was a prostitute, because I was on drugs, and, you know, I needed to get money, and that's how I got money, and I didn't care about my life anymore. When I was in Hunts Point, and you guys, okay, if anybody else thinks any of this is fabricated, okay, you can look up my arrest history. I've been arrested 60 plus times. The names I was arrested under were Vanessa Barbarisi, Vanessa McComb, MACOMB or MACOND, and then the Barbarisi that you see, okay, or my first name, Tara, okay. You can check my synopsis. I've been arrested 60 plus times for prostitution and drugs. I was in a documentary in 2011 called Faces of Addiction with Chris Arnade. I'm the first picture that's on there. And the thing is that when I reach out to him even, you know, you think that this man would be happy. Look him up. Look him up and see the documentary. You will see Vanessa and you will see me. And he puts a little description. I didn't know him, so I didn't tell him exactly. All I said was that one thing I fabricated, and it's the truth, is that my kids were with my mother because I was embarrassed to say that they were adopted by people I didn't know. And I didn't get into all the shit about my mom. But ironically, my mother can see my kids and has this man that raped me around my kids, sent me pictures of him at a fucking table in a restaurant with my children there when this man had sex with me when I was a teenager. What the fuck is going on in this world? I hear kids crying out there. I can't. You know what, guys? I tell you one thing. I have visions of... You hear it? Listen. They fucking laughing about the kid crying? Are you fucking kidding me? Yo, I have no fucking patience for that, man. If I ever hear anybody do anything to that kid, I have no patience for that. I'm always listening and watching out for the people around here because half of them are on drugs. And I'm not judging them because I was them, but I wasn't them. I never did drugs with my children. I was pregnant on the street, but I never had custody of that child. Okay? And a lot of nights, you know, because when I'm up during the day with my son, I'm a full-time mom. Play, I draw, I color. You know, I watch movies with him, I read to him, I teach him things, you know, with the blocks and the magnets and all that stuff. So I have very little time for me. And that's okay, because I love my child. My child redeemed me from what the devil stole, even though he, you know, they're not the same children. It still filled a void that was in my heart, because I always felt so empty. So empty. And when the man I'm with now, Tito, wanted a kid, you know, I really, before I got pregnant, I was very hesitant. I said, oh God, all I could think about is the trauma with my other children and how it left me scarred. It left me exposed. It left me vulnerable. It left me numb. It left me... It just left me. And any negative word you could use, that's what it left me. It left me with a hardened and numbed heart in a lot of instances. Not towards mankind, not towards human beings, but towards feeling any kind of pain. And like I said, I reach out to this man. And I tell him, look, I got a YouTube channel. I'm doing good. You know, I'm still going through the ringer though. I'm in a homeless shelter with my son. I can't get an identification to save my life, which is 100% true. I know people don't understand that, but when you live on the street for 15 years and you don't have ID and you come out of that and you want to better your life, you got to start from scratch. And I have 2 different names, and in order for me to get my marriage license, I need an identification I don't have. So therefore, I can't even get. It's like a fucking cycle. It's like I'm stuck in a catch-22. I can't get out of it. The only way that I'm going to get out of this is if I go to like a senator's office, which I'm about to, or go to the news. And I reached out to Chris Arnade. I said, Chris, this man was a physicist. This man was on CNN. My picture was on the news. I didn't even know. You know how many people reached out to me? If you go on Flickr and say, because what happened was is after the interview, I met Tito, and Tito took me off the street. So all these people that wanted to help me, I had no idea. And I say to him, if you go on his Twitter page, check this man out, guys. This is all true. Chris Arnade. He wrote a book called Dignity. He said he's going to help me write a book. And I hope to God, and I'm going to read some of my book and a poem I wrote, because I write poems. And I started my journey with my book. It's not easy getting into all that stuff. But like I said, you know, how I wound up in Hunts Point. I started panhandling. I know I jump around a lot. I'm sorry. There's just so much stuff, you know. It's like one door leads to another door and another door. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. So I wound up in Hunts Point. I started panhandling. I met a very wealthy Jewish man. This man, I didn't have to prostitute. I wound up leaving my ex for good, because after the kids were taken indefinitely, not that I got back with him, but, you know, he was basically following me wherever I went, and I couldn't get rid of him. And I would panhandle, and, you know, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. It was like, and when I met this man, this Jewish guy, he had a Corvette, he had a lot of money. He worked for a place called Black Bear in Queens, where he would sell oil, you know, lubrication to warehouses and steel fabrication shops that had big heavy machinery, basically. So here it is, this rich Jewish guy is paying for my addiction full force. This man wound up being married to a Nassau County police officer. I had no idea. I wound up getting locked up. I wrote him. She wrote me back. And as a matter of fact, not only did she write me back, she prolonged my stay in jail, because she had friends on the higher-ups that kept me in there, okay? So I did, on and off, about 4 years in jail. The longest I did in one stretch was a year for attempted robbery. I did some real stupid shit. I'll never forget it. I attempted to, this lady was in the bank, and this is another, the 2 most stupidest things I ever did in my life that I'm held accountable for, as far as like my own actions without circumstances, even though it kind of was circumstantial, because if none of that happened to me, I never would have did something like that. But still, I have no one to blame but myself for this action. This lady was in the bank. She had a wad of money like this, and I'm a piece of shit for this, and that's it. I'm not sugarcoating nothing. I don't sugarcoat shit, because, you know, what I did was wrong, and I did my time for it, and I feel really bad because I am not an abuser. But something came over me that day. I was trying to impress people, which is not my personality. I really don't care to impress people, but for some reason, this is what I did, and it was retarded of me. And I went up to this woman. She came out of the bank. She had a wad of money. I said, give me your money. And I told her I had a gun, and I didn't touch her, but I wound up having second thoughts, and I left. And they called the police because it was near the bank, and I wound up getting locked up. And I can never do that to anybody. I don't know what came over me, but like I said, I did my time and I was wrong. So I have a felony, one felony. The rest are all misdemeanors from prostitution and drugs in Hunts Point. That was on Long Island. But, you know, so when I was in jail, she prolonged my stay because she was a Nassau County police officer. And I remember there was one time I was locked up and I had warrants for the counties, Suffolk and Nassau County. So I went to Rikers, to Nassau, to Suffolk. And at my stop in in Nassau County, her partners were there, and the Jewish guy, my boyfriend at the time, he walked in to bail me out, and they're like, Nappy, what the fuck you doing here? You know what I'm saying? They're like, yo, how's your wife? Here it is, he's bailing me out. It was crazy, man. It was just like, I felt so awkward. It was real uncomfortable. The cops are looking at me like, yo, what's going on here? You know, what's going on? But, you know, that was nuts. So I got bailed out, and then I had to go to court, and I never showed up to court, guys. Never. Never. One time I ran from the warrant squad for so long that I was a master of disguise. Time is it? 26 minutes. Master disguise. I was limping like this, and I put glasses on and a hat, and this bitch fucking Tony ratted me out in the Bronx in Hunts Point. She ratted me out and said, yeah, Vanessa's over there. She got to disguise a hat and glasses on, that bitch, motherfucker. You don't want to be snitching on people. Let me tell you something. People that snitch don't last fucking long. At all. So I recommend people that want to be snitches, you better be very fucking careful because it's going to catch up to you. Trust and believe. I've seen it. I've seen people snitch people out and their bodies fine. There was one girl, her name was Madonna. And I'll never forget it. She hit the lotto. She won $2,000 on a scratch off. Okay? Yeah. Opened her mouth a little too much. So they got her at the right time. They said, you know what, this bitch is a snitch anyway. They took her the fuck out. She OD'd, right? People were stepping over her body in the hallway like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. And everyone was like, yo, what happened to Madonna? And people, they were just going in and out of the apartment building, just stepping, she passed out, nothing. She was dead. She was lying there for like a day and a half dead. And this was in an abandoned crack building on Moneta Street. Okay? Everyone, that's like New Jack City, 1989, on Moneta. So that's how I wound up in Hunts Point, was through him, because he sold oil to the industrial areas in the back of Hunts Point. So that's how I got introduced. And I didn't have to prostitute at first, but then I broke up with him because I couldn't take it no more. He was married to this cop and it wasn't working out. I was like, look, you married to the law, man. This is not going to work out. You know what I'm saying? So I had to cut him off real quick. He wound up he had a Corvette, so he would pimp out his vet to the drug dealers in the area. So that's how that worked out. And no one heard from him again. I don't know what happened to him, but I heard people found out he was married to a cop. And once those boys find that shit out on the block, you ain't gonna be lasting too long. I'll tell you that right now. It don't matter, it's from another county. You're still married to the law. They don't want nothing to do with people like that unless they're this. So that's how I wound up in Hunts Point. Now, when I first wound up prostituting, what time is it? One more minute. There was this girl, Michelle, and she showed me the ropes and she showed me the paddy wagon. She said, see that big van? She said, watch out for that big van. Don't go nowhere near that big van. And if you see somebody in the street that looks too clean, stay the fuck away from them because they're undercover. So you know right away when you see a girl look too clean, you know, got her shit together, you gotta stay away because that's a decoy. And they love getting the Johns that way. And then the Johns, for me, I never ever got in one of their cars. They couldn't get me for their life. The only time I got caught, they used to pull stings like trespassing stings. So you go into the building, a cop, and the cops are behind the wall or something. As soon as you walk in, boom, they get you. Even if you didn't cop nothing, they get you for trespassing. So, it's 30 minutes, guys. I gotta go. I'm gonna do another video after this and show you my scar. And if you go in my archives, you will see Slash the Story and a whole bunch of other things in there. Talk about my experiences. It's Barbarisi from the Bronx signing out. Ciao.